He walked into the living room without knocking. My hand froze midair, coffee trembling against the rim of the mug. What are you doing here?" I whispered, my voice barely audible, trembling like fragile glass. He didn't answer. Instead, he leaned against the doorway, tall, unreadable, his eyes locked on me with a kind of intensity that made my chest tighten. My heart hammered in my ears. Every instinct screamed to get up, to escape, but my legs refused. A sudden brush of his fingers against mine as he reached for the mug shot through me like electricity. My breath hitched. I shouldn't feel this way, I thought, trying to pull my hand back, but some part of me wanted him closer, wanted that forbidden proximity. The silence between us was heavy, almost unbearable. I could hear my own pulse, the faint creak of the floor under his weight, the distant hum of the refrigerator. Could anyone walk in now? Would they see this? My mind spun, chaos and desire tangled together. Then he stepped closer, just a fraction, and I felt the air shift around us. My chest tightened. My mind screamed, don't, but my body betrayed me. Every second stretched, electric and dangerous, and in that suspended moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same. "Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and I never imagined something like this could happen to me. I never thought that a simple visit, a fleeting glance, a casual conversation could spiral into something forbidden, something that would pull me into a world I had no business being part of. I want you to understand, I'm not careless. I'm not reckless." But when he looked at me that day, when he stepped into the room like he owned a part of me I didn't even know existed, everything I believed about myself shattered. Every line I had drawn between right and wrong started to blur. It's hard to explain what happened next without sounding insane. There was this tension, this invisible force between us that I couldn't resist. Every small movement, every accidental touch, every moment our eyes met carried a weight that was almost unbearable. I kept telling myself it was wrong, that it couldn't happen, but deep down I already knew it had, and now, looking back, I realized that one single moment, the one you just saw, was the moment that changed everything. It was the spark that ignited a chain of events I could never undo, no matter how hard I tried. I don't know if it was desire, curiosity, or something darker, but from that instant, nothing was ever the same. And I have to tell this story, because it's not just about what happened. It's about how it pulled me deeper into a secret I could never have imagined. I should start at the beginning, or at least what I thought was the beginning. My brother-in-law, his name, had always been in my life in that quiet, familiar way. Friendly smiles at family gatherings, casual jokes over dinner, polite conversation during holidays. Nothing more, nothing that I thought could ever matter. But then things started to shift. The way he would linger just a second too long when he handed me something. The subtle way he'd brush past me, accidental, or maybe not. At first I convinced myself I was imagining it. I told myself it was harmless, that I was overthinking, but the tension, it was there, simmering beneath every interaction, like a storm I could see coming but couldn't stop. I remember the first time I noticed it for real, the way his eyes held mine during a quiet moment at my sister's birthday dinner. Everyone else was laughing, chatting, unaware of the electricity crackling between us. My pulse skipped, my hands trembled, and I realized something I didn't want to admit. I was drawn to him in ways I shouldn't be. It wasn't just desire, it was curiosity, fascination, something dangerous. He had this way of making me feel seen, like he understood parts of me no one else did. Every conversation started to linger longer, every shared glance heavier with meaning. Even the smallest touches, handing over a plate, adjusting a stray strand of hair, felt like sparks I couldn't ignore. I tried to push it away, to tell myself it was impossible, that it was forbidden, that I was crossing a line I could never return from. But the tension kept building. Every family gathering became a minefield, every casual encounter a test of restraint. And I found myself thinking about him when I shouldn't, at night, in quiet moments, replaying his smile, the way he spoke, the way he moved. Then there were the subtle accidents. our hands brushing in the kitchen, lingering just a moment too long, sitting closer than necessary on the couch. Small, harmless touches, or maybe not so harmless. And each time, my heart betrayed me. Each time, I felt myself slipping closer to something I knew I shouldn't want, but wanted anyway. By the time that day came, the day of the moment you saw in the opening, I was already trapped in a web of tension, desire, and unspoken curiosity. I didn't know it yet, but that day, everything would tip over the edge. One single glance, one step too close, one brush of his hand, and everything would change forever. From that first electric moment, the world between us changed. I tried to ignore it, to push it aside, but the tension only grew stronger. Every encounter became a game of restraint, each small gesture loaded with meaning. It started with the way he looked at me, not openly, not in front of anyone else, just subtle glances that lingered a heartbeat too long. I caught myself noticing the curve of his smile, the way his eyes held mine just a second longer than necessary. And every time my pulse raced, my breath hitched, and a dangerous thought whispered in the back of my mind, what if? Then came the small moments, moments that seemed innocent but carried weight. A shared ride home from a family event, just the two of us in the car, the air thick with unspoken words. His hand brushed mine as he reached for the seatbelt. I pulled back instinctively, but only slightly. The electricity lingered. I could feel it humming between us, impossible to ignore. At first, I tried to convince myself it was harmless. Friendly teasing, laughter over jokes no one else would get, accidental touches that I could rationalize away. But each time, the tension grew. Every encounter left me dizzy, restless, thinking of him long after he had gone. The moral lines I had drawn blurred further with each passing day. One afternoon, he accidentally found himself alone with me in the kitchen. I was reaching for a cup in the cabinet, and his hand touched mine. It was so close, so electric, that I had to step back, but only a fraction. My mind raced. Is anyone watching? Could this be a mistake I can't undo? But before I could retreat completely, he said something that stopped me. You're thinking about this, aren't you? I froze. My heart thundered. How could he know? How could he see what I was feeling? I wanted to deny it, to tell him he was imagining things, but my lips stayed silent. And then he smiled, a smile that made my knees weak, a smile that said he knew exactly what he was doing. From there, it escalated. Stolen glances at family gatherings, quiet conversations that lingered just a little too long, moments where our hands would touch under the table, just fleetingly, just enough to ignite a spark. Each time, the tension was unbearable. Each time, the risk of being caught made my heart pound like a drum. There were nights when I lay in bed replaying every encounter. Every brush of his hand, every look, every word whispered between us haunted me. I told myself I shouldn't want it. I told myself I had to stop. But desire has a way of growing in the shadows, unspoken and unstoppable. And then there were the moments of near discovery. The family member walking into the room just as we exchanged a look that was too loaded, the phone ringing mid-conversation, the sudden clearing of a room, leaving us alone with our thoughts. Each time I felt the thrill and the fear intertwine, a dangerous mix that I couldn't resist. By the time I realized how deep I was pulled in, it was no longer about curiosity or fleeting temptation. It had become a secret we both carried, unspoken but undeniable, a tension that simmered beneath every word and touch. Every encounter was a test. How far could we go without anyone noticing? How long could we keep this hidden before everything collapsed? And just when I thought I had some control, one evening he cornered me in the hallway. The world outside disappeared. My chest tightened. I tried to step back, but the wall was behind me. And then, without a word, he reached out, and the brush of his fingers sent an electric shock through me. My mind screamed stop, my body betrayed me, and I realized in that moment, nothing would ever be the same. It all came to a head one evening, the kind of evening where every shadow seemed to watch, every creak of the floor sounded louder than it should. I was alone in the house, or so I thought. He appeared in the doorway like a storm I couldn't escape, his presence filling the room, suffocating, in a way that made my chest tighten. "Why do you keep doing this to me?" I whispered, my voice trembling. The words were half accusation, half confession. My pulse raced, a frantic rhythm that matched the chaos inside me. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he took a step closer, slow, deliberate, and I felt my breath catch. The room shrank around us. My mind screamed for control, for reason, for sanity, but my body ignored it all. Every instinct that had warned me away was drowned out by something stronger, something undeniable. We were close enough now that I could feel the warmth radiating from him. A hand brushed my arm, just enough to send a shiver down my spine. My heart hammered. This is wrong. This is impossible. But my thoughts were drowned by 1,000 fleeting moments I had longed for and feared in equal measure. Then he said something that made my knees weak, something quiet but heavy. "I've wanted this for so long, and I can't stop." Time seemed to freeze. I wanted to step back, but I couldn't. My legs betrayed me. My mind screamed, don't, but every nerve in my body screamed the opposite. My fingers tingled, my stomach lurched, and for the first time I realized there was no turning back. Suddenly, a sound from the hallway made us both freeze. A floorboard creaking, a distant laugh, the possibility of discovery. My pulse hit a frantic pace. I could feel the tension stretch like a wire between us, taut and dangerous. The world outside didn't exist. It was just the two of us. The forbidden electricity crackling in the air, impossible to deny. For what felt like eternity, we just stood there, eyes locked, the air heavy with unspoken desire, every second stretching endlessly. And then, just as my heart threatened to burst from my chest, the moment broke. An abrupt knock at the door, a sudden noise, and everything shattered into silence. We both stepped back, breathless, hearts racing, words failed us, eyes averted, and in that fleeting second, I realized the danger, the impossibility, the risk of it all. Yet, despite every warning, every moral line I had drawn, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. After that night, nothing felt normal. Every glance, every conversation, every casual touch carried a weight I couldn't ignore. I moved through my days on autopilot, replaying that moment over and over in my mind. I kept telling myself I had to stop, that I needed to pull away, that I had to pretend nothing happened, but the tension didn't fade. It lingered like a shadow, invisible to everyone else but impossible for me to ignore. Even in ordinary family gatherings, every brush of his hand, every lingering look made my pulse spike. I tried to convince myself it was just a fleeting obsession, a dangerous spark that could burn out, but deep down I knew it wasn't. There was a pull, a gravity between us that didn't care about rules or morals. It was inescapable, relentless, intoxicating. Sometimes I wonder if he feels the same way in quiet moments when no one is watching. Sometimes I catch him staring, just like I do, and the room seems to shrink around us. It's as if that one forbidden night never truly ended. It just changed form, waiting for the next impossible moment. And now, I keep asking myself the same question every day. How long can we keep this hidden? How long before someone notices, before everything collapses? I don't have the answers. All I know is that the pull, the tension, the forbidden connection, it's still there, waiting. And sometimes in the quietest moments, I can almost feel it stretching between us again, ready to ignite. If you've ever felt the pull of something you weren't supposed to, the tension of a secret that could change everything, I want to hear your thoughts. Comment below and share your take. Have you ever faced a moment that left your heart racing, your mind spinning, a moment you couldn't forget? And if you want to hear more stories like this, stories that dive into forbidden tension, shocking moments, and secrets that linger long after the moment ends, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what happens next, because sometimes the moments we can't resist are the ones that stay with us forever.